Hi, everybody. I am Josee Brault. I am a singer-songwriter, and I'm located here in the beautiful country of Canada in the province of Quebec. And tonight is our very first session for practical singing. I want to give you an introduction. I wrote a big thing like I was going to be formal or something, but really, like as I look at this thing, like I don't know what I'm doing with. I know what I'm doing vocally, but that's about it. Everything else I'm not so good at. So basically, we are starting a school on SKOOL, and we're going to have the opportunity to connect with a greater community throughout the world, people who are trying to find their voice. And I welcome anybody who wants to join us on this wonderful, magical mystery tour. People come to sing for many reasons. I've decided that everybody can sing. The reason you can sing is because every day you use your emotions, you use your voice to express your emotions, you use your voice to tell people what you need, you use your voice to say what you're thinking. So the voice is very important, and it's really something that people today, especially in the geopolitical experience that we're having, are looking to have a stronger voice in the world and to connect. And connecting with the voice means connecting with the breath. And what I've discovered through some years of teaching is that we don't know how to breathe very well. And the minute you connect to your breath, you discover that there's a difference between the mouth and the voice. The mouth is connected to the brain. The brain is like, ba, 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 and the brain will distract you from your voice. The voice comes from the whole body, the whole experience of the person. So very often when we begin sessions, and we'll do this on SKOOL as well, where we'll start sessions with talking. And talking is really important. It's like getting out of the way. How's your day? How are your kids? What's going on in your brain? Do you have any physical issues? So we're checking in with the person on the exterior of the person. But the truth is, the voice is found on the interior of the person. So the second thing we do in sessions is we breathe. Once we get the mouth out of the way, then we can get to the voice, and then we go to breath. And when we do breath work, we're going to do some really simple things, but it's going to be amazing to you how we have forgotten as human beings how to just be functionally in our body. And when we sing and we learn how to breathe properly so that the singing is coming from the whole person, not just from the brain and the mouth, well, then we discover that there's like this sort of existential experience that can happen in music. Music is a cool form of art. I mean, we have many forms of creativity, but music is the one that's done better together. It's better with other people. I'm also a writer and an artist. I don't want to write an art with other people. I mean, maybe some people do, but I do not. But music is better with other people. So with practical singing, we learn how to find the voice, which is not the mouth. The mouth is the story and the thing, blah, 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 which is important too. But it needs to go away when we're using our voice. And so when we begin sessions, we always say, I always ask you, like even right now, if you want to, you can take a deep breath in and see if your shoulders went up towards your ears, because that's what we really want to start to work on at the very first level, is that when we breathe, we mustn't allow this to happen. That's a full inhale, my shoulders don't move, and my shoulders don't, and that took some time. So all of the things I'm going to tell you to do if you want to sing, like really sing, they're going to take some time, some patience, and repetition. Daily repetition is super important. Some of the stuff is going to sound crazy, and some of the stuff is going to sound really repetitive and boring. And repetitive and boring is exactly what you want when you're trying to create a new habit. I'm going to talk to you a lot about your brain and how the difference between doing analytical work and doing creative work, and how, as human beings, we function on both sides of the brain all the time. We're always having some, they say we have 70 to 90,000 thoughts in a day, which is crazy. But most of those are subconscious. They're analyzing, they're thinking, they're often reflecting, they're often negative and repetitive. So when we're using our voice, we need to connect to the deepest core of ourselves, which is that longest journey, the 18 inches. My mother used to say it's the longest 18 inches between the brain and the heart. And music comes from the heart, obviously physically placed near the lungs, but also we're talking about breathing below the lungs and using the diaphragm and the whole body for making sound. The effect that has is that it expands your sound, it projects you forward and makes you go wider. It also will have an impact on your body. So we'll be talking about inhaling so that the shoulders don't come up and the ribs go sideways. This is singing breathing, but also it's just really good for real life, because the more you breathe low, I mean, it's almost ridiculously simple. The lower we breathe, the lower our mind is, less anxiety, chill breath, chill mind. So, and singing helps us really have a magnificent impact on the inside of the body, how the brain is dealing with even just the experience of the stress in the world right now. It cannot be denied. I mean, it doesn't have to be something we talk about 24/7, but you can feel it in the air that there's stress and tension. So, learning how to connect to the voice, because we can be also internalizing a lot of frustration and fear and all this stuff. So voice work is full human work. It's not just learning notes and scales. There's schools for that. I am not that person. I'm not that school. What we're learning here is practical singing. Practical singing means I want to encourage you to sing literally all the time out in the world. I want you to create community groups where people will come together to create music together. This is magical. And that's all I want. That's what I want. No big deal, right? So I'm going to create online schooling, a community online, so that I can go further than our physical borders. Before all this political stuff happened, I had this idea that there was really no such thing as countries and we should all like just be a planet. So I'd like to bring practical singing to the planet. And let's do some breath work together. Let's do some sharing of sound. So we're going to have an experience where people can do some recording, can share music with each other. We're going to create original songwriter groups that people want to help each other write music. Maybe you have lyrics, another person has melodies, whatever. Using our voice means we're going to do it in every way possible. And so thanks for joining me on this, my very first podcast. I have no idea what I'm doing, by the way, like not even the first clue. My amazing teacher, Dan DeLewis. And if you really want to learn breathwork and meditation, you have to go to Dan DeLewis Wellness. And he really knows what he's talking about. He was my first teacher for breathwork. And then we went to India, and then we did more breathing, and then we stuck ourselves in ice and we went, oh, wow, that. So I won't make you do that. But today we can talk about the very first thing. So the very first session, if you would come in for a practical singing session, I would tell you three things. The first thing I would do is ask you to take the deepest breath you can take. So you sit up straight, shoulders. I think my camera's crooked, but I'll figure that out too. So sit up straight. You take the deepest breath you have in, and you exhale like you have a straw in your mouth. And when you breathe in through your nose like you have a balloon in your belly. Breathe in. Exhale like you have a straw in your mouth. Now, if you've never done anything like that before, what you just did there was pretty magical, because breath work is a semi-autonomic body function. In other words, if you had to think about it all the time, you probably would have forgotten and died by now. So it happens automatically, but it's also the thing you can take control of. And when you take control of your breath, you're also taking control of your mind. So for all of you that suffer from stage fright, I want you to focus on the tip of your nose. The tip of your nose is, I remember when my teacher, I was in a terrible state when I first met my teacher, and he said, well, all you need to know is at the tip of your nose. And it's true, because if your mind is going, oh, I'm afraid, all you have to do is inhale, feel cold air. Exhale, feel warm air. And in that moment, you forgot what you were worried about. So really, what we do with breath work are three very important things. The first is we're trying to warm up our inner fire. In yoga, we call that the ajni, the inner fire. And we want to warm that up, because you don't want to come out cold singing, but I'm not here to teach you scales. There's other people for that. So the very first thing is we want to warm that inner fire up. We want to connect to the breath. Then we want to create our first sounds, but what we want to make sure is when you're breathing, that you're breathing in the belly, not in your shoulders and not in your chest. The reason is because when you breathe in your chest, which you're likely doing right now, check in. We all do it. And not everybody does it. You know who doesn't do it? Babies. Babies don't do it. Babies breathe in their belly like that. And some people have estimated that we switch our breathing to chest breathing around 6 or 7 years old. And it was a funny, kind of funny way when someone tells you, I'll give you something to cry about, or tells you to suck it up. And then we stop breathing in the belly and we start breathing in the chest. And breathing in the chest gives the brain a reason to be nervous, and cortisol levels rise. And what we want is for cortisol levels to go down. Our entire culture is filled with cortisol. They give you cortisone for pain. They give you cortisol everywhere. Cortisol is a fear hormone. It tells you if you're fight or flight. And the difference between you and your nearest wild animal is if that animal was chased, it would run till safety and then go back to normal. But with humans, our cortisol levels stay at a certain level. Like once you get freaked out about something, it kind of stays up there unless you take control of it with your breath. And I can attest to the fact that this is absolutely true. I think I was on medication for 27 years for depression and anxiety and all sorts of stuff. And I'm not saying to get off your medication. This can be very helpful. But there's also some work to be done. And the breath, taking control of your breath, is one of the most powerful in your hands things you can do, not only for singing and for music, for physical well-being, but for your mind as well, definitely. And so when I ask you now, take a deep breath in. I want your belly to come out. I want your shoulders to stay flat. And that's the first thing I'll tell you. And the reason for that is it expands your sounds, it gives you greater projection, it relaxes the mind, and eventually it will also, if you already are a singer, breathing that low and deep will give you consistent pitch, and it will allow you to expand your octave range. Over time, I will teach you different breath works that will increase lung capacity, increase relaxation, connect to having a breathy voice, and using less for more, using just the right amount of breath and sound to get the result that you want. And can you see now how that's not just applicable to music, that's applicable to everything, especially in a confrontational world, expressing what you want to get what you want back in a equanimous way. So I'm really looking forward to creating this program with you. And I will be putting out a video every couple of days starting from now. And so for today, I just want you to do the first thing. Take a deep breath, check in with the body, make sure you're breathing low. And I have to warn you, a lot of people come to me and say, my voice is getting really low. And that is what happens with me. And that's part of how I teach. I know a lot of singers that are still very focused on making women sound like Tweety birds and singing like, okay, this is not what you're going to get here. I'm going to be really realistic about this. I think that especially women have a much greater range than they're given credit for. Or given tools for. So this is the place where you're going to learn about rock and blues and folk and authenticity and just being yourself, finding your voice. I like it. I'm Josee Brault, and it is my pleasure to bring you the program of practical singing. Join me here for session 2, where I will tell you the second of 3 very important things. Thanks for checking in. See you later.